Hey y'all, it's Ashley here. So I haven't made a YouTube video in like over a year, but y'all know with the TikTok stuff going on, and it's just been a year of transitions. I've been working on a book of my own, and now I'm switching to a new book. I haven't done, I used to do a lot of interviews. A lot of y'all probably know me from that, doing interviews and posting about them on TikTok and stuff like that, meeting celebrities, whatever. It's been a lot of transitions this year. So with my transitions of the year, working on my own book, one of my goals for 2024 was to read at least 3 books. And so towards the tail end of the year, like fall, I started to read. And I hadn't read a book in so long, probably like maybe 1 or 2 years, just with everything being so busy. I was doing interviews for a lot of major publications with musicians, and I was doing some acting stuff. So I didn't really reading, just kind of got, pushed to the back. And I ended up falling in love with reading again in 2024. So the first book that I actually read and that got me into this season of reading, I would say, is Bunny. So that's what I want to go into this video telling you about, some of my favorite books of 2024. It's only a handful, it's not a lot, but these are kind of some of the books that I gave 5 stars, and that I feel really helped me realize my love for reading and kind of learning what I like reading. And I read a lot of good books. I think around, if I look at my 2024 year-end books, it says I read 46 books, and I started in September. And so from September to December, I read 46 books. I think that's pretty good considering the fact that I was going so long without reading. And I feel like it's going to help me as a writer so much more as well. So I'm really excited to work on something new with all this knowledge. And I'm probably going to continue reading because I just can't stop at this point. So I only have physical copies of a few of them. I use my library quite often. I've been going to the library weekly now. So the first book I want to talk about, I know I mentioned Bunny already, but I'm going to start with a book that I physically have. This is actually a short story collection. It's called The Secret Lives of Church Ladies by Deesha Philyaw. Not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. But this was amazing. This was an instant 5 stars for me. I feel like if you are a Black woman who grew up going to church, or just anything, had any issues regarding sexuality, sexual behavior, whatever, this is for you. Even if you're not religious or whatever, it's basically a bunch of short stories, all of them different from each other. Some more memorable than others, obviously, depending on your own life experience. But they're all kind of just talking about these different Black women and their relationships with both sex/relationships and church, basically faith. And I don't want to give anything away because I feel like you just have to read it. It's probably not gonna be for everybody, but if you are a religious person or have religious trauma, or you just like reading Black literature, I would definitely recommend this. This other book that I gave 5 stars that I have a physical version of is called Snot Girl Volume 2. So there's currently 3 volumes. This is by the guy Brian Lee O'Malley and Leslie Hung. I think he's also the creator of Scott Pilgrim, if you've heard of that. But this is a graphic novel, comic book, whichever. And the art is so beautiful. I love it. I haven't read a graphic novel before, so I actually have all 3 of them. So there's I got them all from the library. So this is the first volume. This is the 3rd volume. The covers are so beautiful. That was one of the things that drew me to it. When I saw the cover, I was like, oh my God, the art. And so, yeah, I really liked 2 though. 2, the 2nd volume for me really did it. There's it's romantic. It's kind of a mystery going on. It's chaotic. I like a little bit of chaos. So it did it for me. I gave the volume 2 5 stars. I think the characters are kind of insufferable in a really good way. It's she's an influencer. The main character's an influencer, and it's just her and her influencer friends. And there's kind of a murder mystery situation. And it's just them being horrible people, but also it's funny. I don't want to give away too much, but just read it. If you're into that sort of thing, read it. And also there's a little bit of a sapphic situations going on as well, if you're into that. And then some other 5-star reads, I'm gonna have to put these on the screen. I read The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. This is my first Taylor Jenkins Reid book. I have been wanting to read this for a while. I'm so glad I finally got to it. I cried. It was an emotional read. I feel like it gave a lot more than I thought it was gonna give. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was emotional, it was interesting. I just felt like I loved hearing about this woman's story. I know it's a fictional character, but I just loved, it felt like she was a real person. Like, her story, her time over the years in Hollywood. Yeah, I don't want to, it's like, I don't want to say too much. It's just like, I feel like you just have to experience reading it. And sometimes when books are super hyped up, I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to like it. But that was like, yeah, I liked it. I know I liked it. It did it for me. It was emotional. I feel like I could like somewhat relate to the character. And so yeah, I loved it. And then of course, now I want to talk about Bunny. Because I understand books like Bunny are not everybody's cup of tea. Bunny by Mona Awad, I think is her name. This is the book that I had gotten, to start off in September, I got like 3 books out of the library. Bunny was one of them. I had started trying to read another book and it was kind of going slow for me, and I was like, I don't know if I can do the reading thing for real. But then I picked up Bunny and it was so easy to read it. Like, for me, like, I love the way that the author writes. It's like a fairy tale. I love that. It was so easy for me to get engrossed into the story, and it gets chaotic. And I feel like some people probably didn't like how it ended. They maybe didn't like how the story went, but for me, I like chaos. I like women doing crazy things. It had the Heathers vibes. It kind of had Mean Girls vibes. Like, I like that sort of story. With the Dark Academia, I feel like I could kind of relate to the main character, Samantha. And just like her kind of like being an outsider at the beginning and getting invited into like the cool girls, or like the cliquey cool girl circle, and then they're doing, you know, this weird stuff. Like, I was just like, I liked it. It was a trip. Now, I think it's also influenced by the fact that it was the first book that I read in a while that really like had me interested. So I had to give it 5 stars just for that, because I'm like, you got me out of a like maybe 2-year reading slump. So at that point, I liked it. I gave it 5 stars. Maybe not everybody's cup of tea. Like, I can tell when I read a book and I'm like, this might be a little niche. Like, some people might not vibe with this, but I vibed with it. So yeah. The other book that I want to talk about is The Weight of Blood. Woo! So this is basically, I like to call it a Black Carrie retelling. The author's name is Tiffany D. Jackson. Now I want to read something else by her, because when I read this book, I remember I just read the description. I got it from the library the next day. I really liked it. I liked the commentary on racial injustice. The main character is basically like an outsider. She has a white dad, but she's technically biracial, which we find out. And it's kind of like just, she's going to this mostly white school, or the school with a lot of racial division, and they're having their first integrated prom. And if you know the story of Carrie, you can kind of like think of what's going to happen with the paranormal things that happen. I don't want to say too much, but I feel like you just have to go in, like, the topics that it covered. It's a YA book, but I feel like it covered the topics so well. I loved, like, there's like a podcast format in the book, and that made it really easy to like kind of get engrossed into the story. And I think it was a great retelling. I actually have never read the original Carrie, but I really liked this. There was also like a little side romance that I liked that was a little bit unexpected for me. So yeah, I didn't even realize I could enjoy horror as much as I enjoyed that. Like, I was like, oh, maybe I could do a horror book. Okay, that did it for me. I like that. And then another book, Legendborn. It's another YA book. I'm sure you've heard of Legendborn by Tracy Deonn. I had seen people talk about this on social media before, and I was like, let me give it a chance. I didn't grow up with a lot of YA Black girls in fantasy, and I'm not really super familiar with like Arthurian legend. So I kind of went into it just, you know, like, okay, let's check it out. And I loved it. I think I really was just like, it definitely has some Dark Academia vibes. I really love the main character, Bree. I feel like she was not irritating like some younger characters can sometimes be. Like, she was very easy. Like, I feel like even though she made a lot of mistakes and, you know, she's young, I feel like I could really relate to her character. And I just feel like her character development was like really fun to follow. And whew, the characters, like, there were so many characters that I liked in this book. Obviously there was some racism going on. There was like just her navigating this mostly white space, belonging. I loved learning more about her history, her mom's family, things like that. Like, it was just very heartwarming. It's like a really great coming of age story. Like, I just love it. I definitely recommend if you're a fantasy fan of any sort. Like, I think it could appeal to so many people. And I would love to see more stories like that starring Black women, okay? Purr. And then I also read Fourth Wing, and I ended up I actually ended up liking it. And I feel like it really gave me it really reminded me of Divergent. I don't know why. I feel like Xaden was giving me 4 from Divergent vibes, the dark and broody, yeah. And I was like, Fourth Wing was like a guilty pleasure. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was like I didn't go into it. I went and read it because I was like, okay, this has a lot of hype. They're making an adaptation. Like, I want to see what the hype's about. And I actually ended up enjoying it. It's a little long, but I enjoyed it. It was a fun little ride. And that's all I'm saying. Most of y'all are familiar with Fourth Wing. I don't need to go into detail about that. But yeah. And then this next book is called That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon by Kimberly Lemming. This is a very unserious book. Very unserious. If you take your fantasy and world building and all this stuff seriously, you might not like it. But it's very, like, I love that it was diverse characters. It's a Black female lead and an Asian male lead. I feel like it was funny. It didn't take itself too seriously. It just kind of was what it was. There's a lot of smut, but I feel like it did what it did well. It was I got it done in one day. Yeah, it took less than a day. It was the same day I finished Addie LaRue. So I was like, okay, this is a nice little palate cleanser, and I really enjoyed it. I ended up reading the whole series. Yeah, and yeah, I think that's all of my 5-star reads. I was very stingy with my 5-star reads. Oh, you know what? The second book in the Legendborn series, Bloodmark, I also gave that 5 stars. I just really liked seeing Bree's character development. I liked seeing the other characters develop. Again, I don't want to go into it too much in case you haven't read the series yet, but I feel like they did different things. The first book and the second book did different things for me, and I'm really excited for that third book. That's a good series, and I've been really wary trying to read more adult books versus reading YA, because obviously I grew up reading YA, and I'm trying to, diversify. And so I think I did a really good job reading different genres this year, reading different kinds of authors, different styles of writing. A lot of it is for my own research as a writer, but I'm also just ended up falling in love with a lot of these stories. So that was great. I'm already reading a lot. I've already read 4 or 5 books already in 2025. We're doing really well. I've been neglecting my writing a little bit, but we're gonna get that together. And yeah, I was like, I know this is late. I know it's already 2025, but for me, I wanted to digest all of these books and really know, how I feel about them, let it sit a little bit. And also, it was a busy holiday season, so I wanted to give myself a little break. But I will be posting here on YouTube more now that, TikTok is a little, don't know what's happening with that. But also, I want to get into more long form content, more bookish content, because literacy is important, and I'm noticing a need for it now more than ever. So I want to be a part of that. I want to talk about the books I like because I'm genuinely enjoying a lot of the things that I'm reading. I have my first ARC, and I'm going to read that this month, so I'll be able to talk about that when I do my January wrap up. So look forward to that. And yeah, let me know if you have any book recommendations. I'm going to link my Goodreads and all of that so you guys can keep up with what I'm reading. I might make a Storygraph account soon as well. I'm just trying to connect with a more bookish community. I'm still going to do other sorts of content as well on this channel, hopefully. But I just want to expand. I want to talk about books as well. So yeah, give this video a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe. 2025 is going to be an amazing year. When I start this new book, I might start giving y'all hints about my new book because I've been brainstorming like crazy, and we're going to be making our debut. We're going to be getting that together. So thank you guys. And I hope you have a great 2025. Bye.